Extraordinary K-9 alert prevents helicopter disaster. Guardian. The Sixth Sense. Bond of trust. The piercing wail of the 5 a.m. alarm shattered the pre-dawn silence of Officer Michael Reynolds' modest apartment. Outside, Chicago's skyline remained a dark silhouette against the navy blue horizon as the city slumbered. Reynolds silenced the alarm with practiced precision, already fully alert despite the early hour. Years of law enforcement had conditioned his body to transition from sleep to full awareness in seconds, a survival skill in his line of work. Rex, his 4-year-old German Shepherd partner, was already standing at attention by the bedroom door, ears perked forward, intelligent eyes tracking Reynolds' movements. The K-9 officer hadn't needed an alarm. He sensed the importance of this day before any human reminder became necessary. Their wordless communication, a bond forged through countless training hours and high-stakes operations, required no verbal confirmation of the mission ahead. "Today's the big one, buddy," Reynolds murmured, running his hand along Rex's muscular shoulder as he passed. The dog's tail gave a single, measured wag, not the exuberant greeting of a pet, but the acknowledged response of a professional equal. The morning ritual unfolded with military precision. Reynolds dressed in tactical gear while Rex patiently waited, occasionally looking toward the window as though assessing the weather conditions. Outside, November had arrived with unseasonable ferocity, bringing slate-gray clouds that promised turbulent skies. Weather reports predicted rough conditions by afternoon, but their mission would be complete long before then, at least according to the operation timeline. Breakfast was functional rather than leisurely, protein-rich fuel for Reynolds and a specialized performance blend for Rex. They ate in companionable silence, each somehow aware of the gravity of the day ahead. This wasn't standard patrol or even a high-risk search warrant. Today's assignment represented the pinnacle of their specialized training, aerial security support for a diplomatic motorcade carrying 3 foreign ambassadors to a controversial summit on international trade agreements. As Reynolds loaded Rex into their specialized K-9 unit vehicle, the first droplets of morning rain began to fall, leaving dark pockmarks on the pavement. Something about the weather triggered an inexplicable uneasiness in Reynolds, a sixth sense honed through 12 years of law enforcement. Rex, too, seemed unusually alert, his gaze repeatedly sweeping the horizon as they pulled away from the residence, almost as if scanning for approaching danger. Neither officer could have possibly known then how prophetic the shared uneasiness would prove to be. The mission framework. The Chicago Police Department's aviation unit facility emerged from the increasing rain like a fortress of concrete and steel, its perimeter secured by multiple layers of security protocols. Reynolds' credentials granted them immediate access, their arrival expected and essential. Inside the main hangar, the department's newest asset gleamed under industrial lighting, a Bell 429 helicopter, sleek and menacing with its matte black exterior and cutting-edge mission equipment. The aircraft represented the most significant investment in the department's aerial capability in 15 years, equipped with advanced surveillance systems, tactical deployment features, and specialized capacity for K-9 operations. Today marked only its 7th official mission since commissioning 3 months earlier. Commander Sarah Mitchell, 24 years in aviation operations and the unit's uncompromising leader, stood beneath the helicopter's nose cone studying digital weather patterns on her tablet. Her expression conveyed the weight of operational responsibility, calculating risk factors against mission parameters with the emotionless precision that had made her legendary within the department. "Officer Reynolds," she acknowledged without looking up, her focus unwavering from the weather data. "Morning briefing in 5. Meteorology suggests we're racing a front." Timelines compressed by 40 minutes. The hangar hummed with pre-mission activity. Tactical officers checked equipment while communications specialists conducted systems diagnostics. The diplomatic security detail representative, a stern-faced federal agent named Harrison, consulted with flight operations about route coordinates and contingency plans. Reynolds guided Rex toward their designated preparation area, where the dog's specialized equipment awaited, ballistic vest, tactical harness, and communication gear that allowed the handler to issue commands even in high-noise environments. Each piece represented thousands of development hours and cutting-edge materials science, transforming the already exceptional animal into something approaching superhuman capability. During equipment check, Reynolds noticed something unusual. Rex, typically the model of pre-mission composure, repeatedly turned his attention toward the helicopter. Not with fear or anxiety, the dog had logged more flight hours than many rookie officers, but with an intensity that suggested heightened alertness. Reynolds dismissed it initially as anticipation. The dog loved helicopter operations, finding the challenges of aerial deployment intellectually stimulating. The briefing unfolded with military precision, each team member receiving specific assignments within the complex operational matrix. Reynolds and Rex would provide specialized threat detection during key transition points in the motorcade route, particularly at the 3 locations intelligence had flagged as potential demonstration zones. The helicopter would maintain overwatch, prepared to insert tactical officers if situations escalated beyond ground team capability. Weather window is narrowing, Commander Mitchell concluded, scrolling through updated meteorological data. Wheels up in 20. Questions? The room remained silent, professionals who understood their roles with absolute clarity. Only Harrison, the federal agent, added a final point of emphasis. These diplomats represent our government's highest priority objective this quarter. Their security cannot be compromised under any circumstances. As the briefing dispersed, Chief Pilot James Keller approached Reynolds. At 48, Keller's distinguished military career in helicopter operations had transitioned seamlessly to law enforcement aviation, making him perhaps the department's most experienced pilot. Your partner good with turbulence today? Keller asked, glancing at Rex with professional respect. Forecast shows increasing instability along our primary flight corridor. Reynolds nodded confidently. He's solid in rough air. Completed the advanced aerial deployment course at Quantico with perfect scores. What Reynolds didn't mention was the unusual vigilance Rex continued to display, his attention repeatedly drawn to the helicopter's tail section. The behavior wasn't concerning enough to report officially, just a barely perceptible deviation from the dog's typical pre-mission demeanor. Still, it registered in Reynolds' awareness, like a single discordant note in an otherwise perfect symphony. The warning. Departure preparations accelerated as the weather system advanced more rapidly than predicted. Outside, the wind had intensified, driving rain against the hangar doors in rhythmic waves. Commander Mitchell consulted with meteorology once more before authorizing the mission to proceed under modified parameters. The window for safe operations was narrowing. Final equipment check, Reynolds commanded, performing a methodical inspection of Rex's tactical gear. The dog stood perfectly still, allowing his handler to verify each component. Their routine was a choreographed dance of movements honed through hundreds of identical preparations, yet something felt imperceptibly different this time, a barely detectable tension in Rex's posture. A hypervigilance that exceeded even his normal professional focus. Load up. Mitchell's command echoed through the hangar as tactical team members moved toward the helicopter, equipment bag shouldered efficiently. The aircraft's systems had already initiated pre-flight sequences, cockpit displays illuminating as Keller and his co-pilot completed their checklist. Reynolds guided Rex toward the helicopter's side-loading ramp, positioned as the third team member to board according to tactical formation protocols. The first 2 officers ascended without incident, disappearing into the aircraft's interior. Then came Reynolds and Rex's turn. Let's go, boy, Reynolds encouraged, stepping onto the ramp. Rex didn't move. The German Shepherd stood frozen at the base of the ramp, his body suddenly rigid with alertness. Reynolds applied gentle pressure to the lead, a subtle cue that typically produced immediate compliance. Still, Rex remained immobile, his eyes locked on the helicopter with unnerving intensity. Rex, heel, Reynolds commanded more firmly, conscious of the operational timeline in the eyes of the tactical team now watching from inside the aircraft. The dog not only refused to advance but took a deliberate step backward, his posture shifting into what Reynolds instantly recognized as alert behavior, the precise stance Rex adopted when detecting explosive materials during training exercises. His ears positioned forward, body tensed, weight slightly shifted rearward. Problem, Reynolds? Commander Mitchell called, approaching with visible concern. Behind her, Agent Harrison checked his watch impatiently, the diplomatic motorcade schedule clearly foremost in his thoughts. He's refusing to board, Reynolds explained, professional embarrassment competing with growing concern. K-9 units were expected to perform flawlessly, particularly on high-profile operations with multiple agencies observing. We don't have time for K-9 temperament issues, Harrison interjected sharply. The motorcade departs in 17 minutes. Reynolds knew better than to dismiss Rex's behavior as mere temperament. In 4 years of partnership, the dog had never once refused a command without legitimate reason. His reliability rating exceeded 99.7% in performance evaluations, essentially perfect in operational terms. This isn't stubbornness, Reynolds stated with growing certainty. This is alert behavior. He's detecting something. Mitchell's expression tightened, operational pressure weighing against her respect for the specialized capabilities of the K-9 unit. The aircraft received complete security clearance this morning. Full electronic sweep and physical inspection. From the cockpit doorway, Keller observed the situation with professional concern. What exactly is your dog doing, Reynolds? He's alerting as if he's detected a threat substance, Reynolds explained, watching Rex maintain his rigid posture. This is identical to his explosive detection indication. That's impossible, Harrison interrupted. This aircraft has been under continuous security surveillance since its last maintenance cycle. Every access has been logged and verified. Reynolds faced a career-defining decision. Protocol demanded adherence to the mission timeline and deference to the security clearances already granted. Yet his partnership with Rex was founded on absolute trust in the dog's specialized capabilities that had proven superior to technology on multiple previous operations. Sir, Reynolds addressed Mitchell directly, I'm formally requesting additional inspection based on my partner's alert behavior. The hangar fell silent, the only sound the increasing patter of rain against the metal roof and the low hum of the helicopter's electrical systems. The tension was palpable as Mitchell calculated operational risk against the unprecedented situation of a K-9 refusing to board a security-cleared aircraft. You understand what's at stake here? She finally asked, her tone measured. I do, Reynolds responded evenly. And I'm willing to accept full responsibility if this proves unfounded. Mitchell studied Rex, noting the dog's unwavering focus and professional alert posture. As someone who had witnessed the exceptional capabilities of well-trained working dogs throughout her career, she couldn't easily dismiss the animal's behavior. 10 minutes, she decided finally. Not 1 second more. Harrison, informed the motorcade were conducting additional security protocols. The federal agent departed with visible frustration, already on his communications device explaining the delay to his superiors. Reynolds unclipped Rex's lead, issuing the formal search command that released the dog to work independently. Find it, he directed, stepping back to allow the German Shepherd operational space. Rex moved immediately, purpose evident in every precisely calculated movement. This wasn't random exploration but methodical scent tracking following an invisible thread that led directly to the helicopter's tail section, precisely where the primary control systems connected to the rotor assembly. Discovery. Rex circled the helicopter with increasing focus, his nose working continuously as he processed invisible scent particles with cognitive capabilities beyond human comprehension. The tactical team had emerged from the aircraft now, watching with a mixture of impatience and curiosity as the dog performed his impromptu inspection. What exactly is he tracking? Keller asked, professional interest overcoming his initial skepticism. Could be anything from explosive residue to mechanical abnormalities, Reynolds explained, closely observing his partner's movement patterns. His primary training is explosives detection, but he's also sensitive to chemical compounds that indicate mechanical failures, fuel leaks, hydraulic fluid, electrical shorts. The dog suddenly stopped at the helicopter's tail section, his body language shifting into formal alert position, sitting rigidly while maintaining unwavering focus on a specific point where the tail boom connected to the main fuselage. This was the trained indication that he'd located a target scent. He's got something, Reynolds announced, moving toward the location. Right here. Keller approached cautiously, examining the area with experienced eyes. Nothing visible from the exterior. This is near the tail rotor control assembly. Could something be wrong internally? Mitchell asked, the operational timeline temporarily secondary to aircraft safety concerns. Keller hesitated briefly before nodding to his co-pilot. Curtis, get the inspection panels open. Full diagnostic on the tail rotor controls. The next few minutes passed in tense silence as the pilots conducted their inspection. The tactical team murmured among themselves about delays and mission parameters while Harrison returned, repeatedly checking his watch as he updated Federal Command on the situation. Hold up, Curtis called suddenly, his voice shifting from professional detachment to unmistakable concern. We've got a problem here. Keller moved quickly to his co-pilot's side, examining something in the exposed control assembly. His expression transformed as he carefully traced a component with his finger. Jesus, he muttered, looking back at Rex with newfound respect. What is it? Mitchell demanded, approaching the inspection site. Control rod assembly showing stress fractures, Keller explained, pointing to a barely visible hairline crack in a critical component. It would likely have failed during flight, especially in turbulence conditions. Would pre-flight checks have caught this? Reynolds asked, though he already anticipated the answer. Keller shook his head. Negative. The crack is positioned where it's not visible during standard inspection procedures. We only found it because we removed these access panels. How long until failure? Mitchell asked, professional concern replacing her earlier skepticism. Hard to say precisely, Keller replied, carefully examining the damaged component. Based on the propagation pattern and the stress this section experiences during flight, I'd estimate failure within the next 1 to 2 hours of operation. Sooner under high-stress maneuvering conditions. The implications settled over the group like the approaching storm clouds. A tail rotor failure during flight, particularly during turbulence, would have been catastrophic. This isn't normal wear and tear, Curtis observed, examining the component more carefully. The pattern suggests potential tampering. Keller nodded in agreement. The fracture pattern is unusual. Look at the stress point. It's been deliberately weakened. See these compression marks here and here? He pointed to barely perceptible indentations in the metal surrounding the fracture. That's consistent with application of external force. Could be intentional stress applied to create a delayed failure. Sabotage, Mitchell stated, her entire demeanor shifting as operational concerns suddenly transformed into potential security breach implications. Can't confirm without metallurgical analysis, Keller replied, but in 20 years of flying, I've never seen a stress fracture with this particular pattern. Mitchell immediately activated her communications device. Security lockdown. I want every entry within the past 72 hours and all surveillance footage immediately. This is now a criminal investigation. As the hangar erupted into renewed activity, security teams securing the perimeter while investigators documented the damage, Reynolds knelt beside Rex, offering well-deserved praise while the dog maintained his professional vigilance. Your partner just saved lives, Keller said quietly as he approached them. That component would have failed during the exact kind of maneuvering we'd need to perform along the motorcade route. Unraveling. The investigation moved with extraordinary speed, fueled by the high-profile nature of the averted disaster and the disturbing security implications. Within hours, preliminary reviews of surveillance footage revealed a maintenance contractor accessing the helicopter during unauthorized hours 3 nights prior. The man, Daniel Mercer, age 39, had apparently used legitimate credentials to enter the secure hangar, spending approximately 31 minutes near the aircraft before departing. Security teams located Mercer preparing to board a flight to Toronto. His reaction upon being approached by officers confirming their suspicions before questioning began. When brought in for interrogation, Mercer initially maintained his innocence, claiming he'd been completing routine maintenance authorized by his contracting company. His confidence crumbled dramatically, however, when investigators brought Rex into the adjacent observation room, visible through one-way glass. The dog's alert behavior triggered immediately upon detecting Mercer's scent, the same unmistakable posture he displayed at the helicopter. Quite the fan club you've got there, the lead investigator remarked, nodding toward Rex. That's the K9 that detected your handiwork this morning. Saved a lot of lives, including 3 foreign ambassadors. Mercer's confession emerged through hours of skilled interrogation. The truth proved more complex and disturbing than initially suspected. The sabotage wasn't politically motivated but industrial. Mercer had been hired by executives from a rival aviation contractor that had lost the police department's maintenance contract to the current provider the previous year. The sabotage was designed to create an incident that would call the current contractor's safety record into question and potentially reopen the bidding process. He claims he never intended it to be fatal. The lead investigator explained later that evening as the core team gathered in the briefing room. The storm had arrived in full force, rain pounding against the facility roof while wind buffeted the building. Just enough of an incident to raise safety concerns and trigger an investigation. In these weather conditions, with that kind of failure? Keller shook his head. There's no way it wouldn't have been catastrophic. Was he working alone? Mitchell asked. We're still investigating the wider connections, the investigator replied. But Mercer claims he was approached by a former supervisor now working for the competing aviation company. Offered $50,000 for what was described as creating a mechanical issue that would require emergency landing but not endanger the aircraft. Reynolds listened, his hand resting lightly on Rex's head as the German shepherd sat attentively beside his chair. The dog remained calm but alert, his mission completed, yet his professional demeanor unchanged. This was what made him exceptional. The ability to transition between intense work and quiet vigilance without the nervous energy many working dogs displayed. The diplomatic motorcade had proceeded with enhanced ground security only, the aerial component of the protection operation canceled due to both the sabotage investigation and the deteriorating weather. The summit would continue under modified security protocols while the investigation into wider connections to the sabotage attempt expanded. Recognition. The following day, after the storm had passed and normal operations resumed, Reynolds and Rex found themselves summoned to the commissioner's office. The story of the sabotage attempt and Rex's critical role in preventing potential tragedy had spread throughout the department. Officers from other divisions stopped by to acknowledge the dog whose extraordinary senses had saved colleagues' lives. Commissioner Anderson, a 30-year veteran not known for emotional displays, actually knelt to greet Rex before addressing Reynolds. I understand we have your partner to thank for preventing what could have been a terrible tragedy, he said, his usual formal demeanor softened by genuine appreciation. The commendation was accompanied by departmental recognition, media coverage, and, most meaningful to Reynolds, a specialized challenge coin created specifically for Rex, attached to his tactical vest alongside his service credentials. These coins, traditionally exchanged between human officers as tokens of respect and recognition, had never before been created for a K-9 officer. Later that afternoon, as they prepared for their regular patrol shift, Keller approached them in the department parking lot. "We're conducting the flight test tomorrow after the replacement parts are installed," the pilot said. "I've requested that Rex inspect the helicopter before we take it up." Reynolds raised an eyebrow. "I thought the mechanics were doing a complete overhaul." "They are," Keller confirmed with a slight smile. "But I'd sleep better with your partner's approval. In aviation, we have a saying, trust your instruments. I think I need to amend that to include the four-legged variety." As Keller walked away, Reynolds looked down at his partner, feeling the familiar surge of pride that came with their extraordinary partnership. Rex looked back at him, alert and ready for whatever challenge came next, the embodiment of capabilities that extended far beyond human limitations. The invisible connection. 2 weeks after the incident, Reynolds sat alone in his apartment reviewing the final investigation report. The case had expanded significantly, revealing an elaborate corporate espionage network targeting multiple law enforcement contracts. 8 arrests had been made, including 2 executives from the rival aviation firm. The scope of potential damage averted by Rex's alert that morning continued to expand with each new revelation. The report contained technical analysis explaining how Rex had detected the sabotage, stress fractures in metal release microscopic particles, changing the chemical composition of surrounding air in ways too subtle for humans to detect, but well within a dog's olfactory capabilities. Rex had essentially smelled the metal breaking down at the molecular level, differentiating this abnormal scent from the helicopter's standard chemical signature. Reynolds closed the file and looked across the room where Rex lay on his specialized bed, watching his handler with intelligent eyes that seemed to understand far more than any animal should. The German Shepherd's extraordinary act had received formal recognition, but Reynolds knew the true significance transcended official commendations. In an age of technological sophistication, where humans increasingly trusted machines and algorithms over instinct, Rex represented something profound and easily forgotten. The incomparable value of capabilities evolved rather than engineered. The dog's sensory perception, refined through millions of years of evolution, had detected a threat that multiple electronic security systems, mechanical inspections, and human evaluations had missed completely. More importantly, the incident reinforced the fundamental truth at the heart of the K-9 program. The ultimate security system wasn't found in sophisticated technology, but in the ancient bond between human and K-9. A partnership built on trust, respect, and the recognition that sometimes the most reliable warning system walked on 4 paws. Reynolds thought about how close he'd come to dismissing Rex's behavior that morning. The professional pressure to conform, to trust established protocols over his partner's instincts. The easy path would have been to force the dog onto the helicopter, to prioritize the mission timeline over the animal's clear communication. Instead, he'd honored the partnership, trusted his 4-legged colleague's specialized capabilities above human skepticism. That decision had saved lives, including possibly his own. Outside, nightfall had transformed Chicago's skyline into a tapestry of lights against the darkness. Tomorrow would bring new missions, new challenges requiring their specialized capabilities. Reynolds knew with absolute certainty that whatever dangers they faced, there was no technology, no security system, no advanced equipment he would trust more completely than the extraordinary animal now watching him from across the room. A partner whose perceptions extended into realms beyond human understanding. In a world increasingly dominated by artificial intelligence and digital systems, Rex represented nature's ultimate detection technology. A reminder that despite our technological sophistication, some threats remained invisible to everything except the extraordinary evolutionary achievement of a dog's nose and the courage of a handler willing to trust it. The guardians among us. In police departments across America, K-9 officers perform daily miracles that rarely make headlines. Their extraordinary senses, capable of detecting what technology cannot, have saved countless lives in ways we'll never fully comprehend. A German Shepherd in Boston alerts to a barely detectable gas leak in an elementary school. A Belgian Malinois in Texas prevents a building collapse by refusing to enter a structure with invisible structural damage. A Labrador in Seattle leads rescuers to a child lost in dense wilderness when thermal imaging failed. These aren't fictional accounts. They're documented cases where animals perceive dangers invisible to human senses. The bond between handler and dog transcends mere partnership, creating a communication system so profound it defies conventional explanation. It's built on something our technological age often undervalues: absolute trust in natural instinct. Every day, handlers must make split-second decisions, follow protocol, or trust their four-legged partner's inexplicable behavior. Those who choose trust, often risking professional credibility, frequently discover their dog's perceived threats no human could detect. In our world of sophisticated security systems and artificial intelligence, we sometimes forget nature's greatest detection technology walks beside us on four paws, perceiving our world through senses so refined they border on supernatural. Perhaps true wisdom lies in remembering which partner to trust when something feels wrong. Thank you for watching this heartfelt story. We hope it touched your heart and left you with something meaningful to reflect on. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, leave a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more inspiring stories like this. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next video.